Granada is not a large city, not by Spanish standards, not by European ones, but for people who travel to Spain, Granada is usually one of the first places they visit. The city sits at the edge of things. It lies where the Sierra Nevada mountains meet the plains of Andalusia, where snowmelt turns to olive groves and dry heat. To the south, the Mediterranean is a promise, a couple of hours away. Granada is one of those cities that seems to complete Spain's geography of travel. It is both a symbol and a destination, the city that holds the Alhambra, which is Spain's most visited monument. More than 3 million people pass through its gates every year, and no other Spanish landmark carries the same weight of history, architecture, and recognition. Outside the Alhambra's walls, the city itself is built for discovery. The modern centre, with its cafes and broad avenues, feels almost recent. It's a place where orientation doesn't matter much, where you can get lost and always find something older than expected. The population sits around 230,000 within the municipality and close to 500,000 in the metropolitan area, which stretches along the Vega de Granada, the flat plain between the mountains and the River Genil. Granada has its own airport, the Federico Garcia Lorca Airport, but it's small, with limited international connections. Many people fly into the much larger Malaga Airport, about an hour and a half's drive away, and then take a bus or a hire car. The history is where Granada gets really annoying to summarize. The Zirid dynasty established an independent kingdom here in the 11th century. Granada bounced between various Moorish dynasties and kingdoms. The Nasrid dynasty took control in 1238 under Muhammad I ibn Nasr, and suddenly Granada became the capital of the last Muslim kingdom on the Iberian Peninsula. While the Christian Reconquista gobbled up the rest of Al-Andalus, Granada held out for another 2.5 centuries. The Nasrid Emirate of Granada lasted from 1238 to 1492. During this period, the city became a refuge for Muslims fleeing other conquered territories. The population might have reached 400,000 in the wider kingdom, and it was one of the wealthiest and most cultured cities in Europe. The Nasrid rulers built the Alhambra complex as we know it today and developed the irrigation systems. Then 1492 happened. Christopher Columbus gets all the press for that year, but the fall of Granada actually mattered more for Spanish history. Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile completed the Reconquista by conquering Granada on January 2nd, 1492. Boabdil, the last Nasrid emir, reportedly wept as he left the city. His mother allegedly told him, "Weep like a woman for what you could not defend like a man," which, if true, was a harsh but historically memorable moment of emotional damage. The Catholic monarchs initially promised religious tolerance. That lasted about as long as you'd expect. Muslims and Jews were forced to convert or leave. The cultural devastation was thorough, and the economic impact was severe. Granada declined from a cosmopolitan powerhouse to a provincial backwater. The 19th century brought the Romantic movement, and suddenly European travellers couldn't get enough of Moorish ruins and Oriental exoticism. Post-Franco democratic Spain allowed Granada to finally capitalise on its heritage. Tourism exploded and the university expanded. The city became more cosmopolitan again, though in a completely different way than during Nasrid times. The 1992 quincentenary of the Reconquista brought mixed feelings and a lot of tourist infrastructure development. The Alhambra represents a specific moment in history. The Nasrids must have known their time was limited, yet they built for eternity. Their palaces were meant to last and to impress, to demonstrate that their culture remained vital and superior. They succeeded at least in the lasting part. Muhammad I started building it in 1238. His son continued, then his grandson, then more rulers. The complex grew organically over about 150 years. This is why the layout feels somewhat chaotic. The construction methods were surprisingly modest given the final result. Rammed earth for the outer walls. The towers used brick and stone, but inside the palaces, the builders went absolutely wild. Carved stucco everywhere, geometric patterns that make your eyes hurt if you stare too long. Arabic calligraphy calligraphy flowing across walls and ceilings, coloured tiles in patterns that repeat and shift. The thing about Islamic architecture in medieval Spain is that it avoided depicting living creatures because of religious prohibition. So instead, the artists channeled everything into geometry, calligraphy, and stylized plants. The whole complex depends on water engineering. The Moors diverted water from the Darro River through a system of channels. The Royal Canal, built in the 11th century, brings water from the mountains. It still works. This water fed fountains, pools, baths, and gardens throughout the Alhambra. In a region where summer temperatures regularly hit 40 degrees Celsius, water meant power. It also meant luxury. Every courtyard has a fountain or pool. The sound of running water follows you everywhere. The Court of the Lions has that famous fountain with 12 marble lions around the edge. The whole system runs on gravity. No pumps, just careful calculation of gradients and flow rates. Charles V's palace is a Renaissance insertion. It's architecturally significant in its own right. A two-storey circular courtyard surrounded by columns, Doric below, Ionic above, and very classical. The Generalife is the summer palace and gardens, slightly separate from the main complex. The name means Garden of the Architect. The gardens are terraced, with fountains and channels everywhere. The water stairway has water flowing down channels built into the handrails. It's the kind of detail that makes you appreciate obsessive design. Washington Irving stayed here in 1829. He wrote Tales of the Alhambra, which Europeans and Americans loved. Suddenly, everyone wanted to see this exotic Moorish palace. Finally, even the Spanish government noticed they had a tourist attraction. Just being there is historical education. Ticket prices change, but go around 15 to 20 euros for the general daytime ticket. The ticket covers the Alcazaba, the Nasrid palaces, the Generalife, and Charles V's palace. Your Nasrid palace's time slot is strict. Miss it and you're out of luck. The Albaicin is the oldest and most complicated part of Granada. It rises just opposite the Alhambra, facing it like a mirror. The neighbourhood holds the trace of everything that came before modern Granada: Moorish foundations, Christian renovations, neglect and recovery. Its houses, called Carmenes, still follow that model. Whitewashed exteriors, courtyards with gardens and high walls to keep the interior cool and private. Even today, many of them look blank from the street, but open into small paradises of shade and water. The Albaicin covers the hill of San Cristobal, bordered by the Darro River below and the Sacromonte to the east. From certain streets you can see directly across to the Alhambra, which always feels close. The streets are famously confusing. They are cobbled, narrow and curved, built for feet and animals, not cars. They wind between white walls, often so close that two people can touch both sides with outstretched arms. At times the path turns unexpectedly into a staircase or a dead end that hides a view. By the 20th century, parts of it were crumbling, but historians and travellers recognised its value, not as nostalgia, but as a rare survival of an intact Andalusian Moorish urban form. In 1994, UNESCO declared the Albaicin a World Heritage Site, extending the Alhambra's protection zone to include it. The Cathedral of Granada stands right in the centre of the city. After the fall of Granada in 1492, the Catholic monarchs wanted to make visible, in stone and scale, that this was now a Christian city. So they built their cathedral on top of the main mosque, using the same ground plan at first, and then expanding it far beyond. Construction began in 1523 under Charles V, and continued for nearly 2 centuries. It started as a late Gothic project, but when Diego de Siloé took over in 1529, he redrew it entirely in the Renaissance style, one of the first in Spain to do so. The result is a building that looks both classical and southern. The interior is huge, about 115 metres long, 67 wide, and 45 high under the main dome. The walls are pale, the arches tall and clean, and light enters from above in such a way that everything seems slightly weightless. The best time to visit Granada is May. The weather is perfect, the hills are green, and the tourists haven't yet multiplied beyond reason. The evenings stretch long, and the smell of the gardens go through the streets. October might be better if you want the city to yourself, when everything has calmed and the light turns the stone golden. You can visit in winter and feel the mountain in the air, or in summer and feel the weight of the south, but spring and autumn are when Granada reveals itself. Have you ever visited Granada? Leave a comment and let us know. If you loved this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to World Travel Guide.